Okay, we tagged our journey as pedagogical evolution, how it has evolved over the last 1 year. The group restricted itself to the previous mode in terms of teaching and assessment. Equally, in terms of the new mode, as well as teaching and assessment. So on these two streams, we'll be looking at teaching and assessment. What was the mode before now? On our table, we aggregated our views and we came to a conclusion that conventional face-to-face lecture method was predominant. And that was a consensus among us all. And that cut across country. We also looked at group work as a form of predominant format in a situation whereby most times we relied on the leader of the group to make presentation. And that was another teaching method that was predominant before we came in contact with PEDA. We identified a few disadvantages here about these methods we have seen as being very predominant. And one such was short attention span of students. When you lecture and lecture and lecture, we observed that short attention span was observed, and fluctuation in attendance, since they all know that you will come to class and tell them theories and talk and talk and talk more in the classroom. We also found that challenges in class management. A large class and you'll be the one to talk for almost 50 minutes out of the 1 hour. So these are challenges that we found out in the old mode as far as teaching and classroom engagement was concerned. In terms of the old mode assessment, it was a consensus on the table as well that what was predominant was pen paper testing. And that's the conventional thing. And also the structured continuous assessment and general examination at the end of the day, including one-off tests, oftentimes referred to as almighty tests at times. These were the old ways in which we observed that assessment was carried out. And after coming in contact with PEDA, we observed that a few things have consciously or unconsciously changed in our dealings with our students. And this we looked at that blended method have come to bear, where we no longer rely only on the face-to-face interaction and lecturing period and model. We observed that we have incorporated technological enhanced teaching learning model. We have started to deploy role plays. We have started to use more of teaching aids. We have deployed e-cases method, and all these have assisted a great deal. However, this also, we are faced with a few challenges, and one of such is power instability, large classroom, internet challenges, and institutional rigidity, since we all are engaged by institutions. And there are regulations that have been set out and to which we must all comply. Also in terms of assessment under the new mode, we have observed that we have tried to loosen up a bit, to disaggregate CAs, and we started using projects as a form of testing our students. Go ahead and undertake this project and come back to class and share your experience and outcomes from the field. We have also decided that these days attendance are now being used as a mode of actually encouraging students to participate in class. As such, attendance is now being used as a form of assessment. And of course, structured test. You know, there's hardly anything we can do about that since it's an institutional resolution. And in terms of, we also look at feedbacks from our students. Of course, that's our major product. And we observe that they are now more interested in class attendance and class activities. More importantly, assignments. They are now more interested because of the variation in the methods and strategies now being deployed. However, there are a few things that were also said about that. Okay, in terms of feedbacks also, we have got inspiring comments of commendation. In fact, 2-3 colleagues on the table read out comments of students with respect to their new teaching methodologies. And if time will permit us, I'm thinking that 2 of such comments should also be put on PEDA platform for people to see. Our classes are now more interactive since we are deploying more methods. Then we have more students centered. We found out that the class engagement is no longer teacher centered. Now it has shifted from teacher centered to student centered, and this has, in one way or the other, improved attendance. We have projections, and our projections are applications of PEDA approach to other programs. PEDA approach to further programs, but at the undergraduate level, perhaps to enhance teaching learning activities. Intention to write e-cases. That's the projection on our part, that we should saddle ourselves with some responsibilities to write e-cases, because we have found out that it has assisted a great deal to enhance class interaction and also to strengthen community of practice in our various institutions. A few things are here. We try as much as possible to sieve this out, to plot this bar chart. And here we are saying before PEDA and after PEDA. Before PEDA, this is the teaching rating. Quality of teaching was accepted to be like 35%. And here, quality of assessment was observed to be 30%. Now, after PEDA, we have gone up to like 75%, whereas quality of assessment has quality of assessment has gone up to 60%. I think this is a great leap. Usage of teaching methods as well. This is before and this is after. Usage of lecture method before PEDA, we agreed that it was around 80%. Now, lecture method has reduced somehow because we have decided to blend with other methods. Role play, we agreed that before PEDA, it was around 15%. Now, after PEDA, it has moved to something around 50%. The e-case method, we have observed that before PEDA, it was near nothing, because we could see that it's barely 10%. It's barely 5%. But now we agree that it has reached about 41% or thereabout. Then we also observed that before PEDA, teaching technologically enhanced learning was about 10%, but now it has reached something about 40%, which also is very instructive. Usage of assessment method. These are the assessment methods we observed that before PEDA, we were used to the structured test, just pen paper test. That's what we were used to, and that's why it is seen as being at 80 before PEDA interaction. Then after that, we have seen that structured tests, pen paper assignments and testing has reduced somewhat. And we also observed that we have decided to group assignment before PEDA was around 50%, and after PEDA it has moved a little bit above there. I think what I said earlier could be seen as factors are responsible for this. Equally, attendance in class, I mean using that as an assessment mode, we found out that it's about 10% before PEDA intervention. After PEDA intervention, we agree that it's about 40%. And this is what we have plotted out here. I would like my colleague to finish up in the next. Okay.
Just to conclude, when you see all this from our discussion and what we were before and after PEDA, we try to plot the trend in which we're moving in terms of the partake of the assessment methods and the teaching strategies that we employ. Before PEDA, we were based on a particular strategy.
Oh, I forgot it.
And the trend for both assessment and the teaching strategies seem to be in a climbing mode. So, meaning that we embracing different strategies, that is really taking us towards the upper side, to the rate of 5. And then we also noticed that there was a bit of the change in trend in use of some of the assessment methods and teaching strategies. First lecture, you said that lecture was at the beginning it was 5, but it seemed to be coming down. While role play, e-case, and technology-enhanced learning, the trend seemed to be going up, and which we can attribute to the employment of PEDA. In terms of assessment, we also noticed that structured examination is slowly coming down, whereas group work and participation seem to be projecting upwards. And this is conclusion of what was presented. Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
The presentation made here was made by political scientists, not by politicians. And they are scientifically based. We are different from politicians. Politicians you have all over, most of them have no knowledge of political science. So we are political scientists, and what we have done is scientifically presented as political scientists. We are experts.
Okay, so a question? Okay.
You seem to have mentioned that you actually, as part of assessment, that you actually give marks for attendance. Is it supposed to be compulsory?
I think it varied from our discussion on the table. It varied from institutions to institutions. So we find that in some institutions it's not compulsory, in others it's part of that. And coupled to that, it is being misused. It's at the discretion of the lecturer. But with the PEDA, we saw the importance of engaging the students through this participation. It's not just attendance. It's not just attendance. But if you are in class, what is your input in class?
We are live from the Sarova White Sand Hotel in Mombasa, Kenya, where the AAU TV is partnering with PASGA to cover the annual convening of the pedal expert and then also facilitators as well, and also a bit of the MRPP program. And so we are recounting the stories, the success stories, the aha moment of lecturers, teachers, facilitators throughout the pedal training that has been going on in Africa. And we are privileged to have some participants who will be taking their key feedback as well. So stay tuned, relax, and enjoy the best of our interview sessions. My name has always been Kwesi Sam.
Okay, I'm Remi Ayede. I'm a professor of political science from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria.
Great. So, Prof, you have been a facilitator for the pedal training for some time now.
Yes.
What will you share with us?
Well, I must say that before I became a pedal trainer myself, underwent some training, which has helped a great deal in improving the quality of teaching and learning in my classroom at the University of Ibadan and elsewhere.
Okay. So before PEDAL, you have been teaching for years, and now you know the PEDAL. What is the difference?
Yeah, I think there's a huge world of difference between before and after the PEDAL exposure. I've always considered myself as a good teacher, but after going through the PEDAL training, I realized that there are lots to learn if you really desire to improve on your teaching. That although teaching can be a gift, but it's a gift that needs to be refined and developed over a period of time. And the interesting part is that teaching as an art and teaching as a science has moved a great deal in terms of innovation, in terms of the evolution of new strategies, new methods, and the redefining even the essence and goal of teaching and learning. And as a teacher, you need to be apprised of new developments concerning teaching and learning in order to continuously improve on the quality of the teaching and learning experience in our various universities. I must say that one of the first things we need to know is that as we grow in our career, we're also supposed to grow in our competencies in teaching and learning, because most of the time in the university, we focus on research, even though we know that a university, most of the time, is not supposed to focus on research alone. Teaching is the other side of the coin. But most of the time we focus on research because that's where you really find meaning. And then again, it is in your publication that your career advancement depends. But really, there's also a pathway in career development as far as teaching and learning is concerned, which can, in fact, add value or reinforce our growth in research and development. And that is why it's important for us to take advantage of the opportunity that PEDAL is offering.
Great. One key thing or one key trend that academics are seeing and expect is that because of the publish or perish syndrome, yes, we have a lot of our academics focusing much more on publications and research, much more than teaching. Yes. Has it become a problem in our universities, and must we change?
I think it has become a problem, and many universities are actually changing. In Ibadan, for instance, there has been systematic effort to integrate teaching competencies and growth into the career advancement part. In fact, there are specific criteria relating to teaching that you need to meet in order for you to earn promotion at various levels. Now, what we find in the case of PEDAL is that we are beginning to see that even our research can benefit from our reflection on teaching and learning in our classroom. Because what we also find is that teaching and learning in our various disciplines, doing research in teaching and learning in our various disciplines is integral to the kind of research that is accepted for publication, for promotion consideration in our university. So we therefore gain doubly when we pay attention to improving our teaching and learning and trying to move beyond practice into translating what you have practiced into some form of knowledge that others can benefit from.
Wonderful. So you are a facilitator for one of the models. Yes. And can you
pedagogical practice.
Okay. So then what will you share with us in that model within the next 1 minute?
Yeah, very importantly is to say that leadership is expressed and manifested in the classroom, in the teaching and learning process. And that if you are not conscious of the leadership role you play as a teacher in the process of teaching and learning, then there will be a huge gap, in trying to bring out the best from the students. Because if teaching and learning is inherent to the pedagogical environment, then the way you do your teaching, the values that you express, the skills that you manifest are inherently leadership skills that you are supposed to demonstrate by example to your students. So if you are not conscious of that characteristics of the learning environment, then you are not able to consciously bring out those qualities in your students.
One of the key things that came out throughout the session had to do with the fact that we need to focus on learner characteristics, which is very important. Yes. But do you think that every student must go through the 4-year bachelor? Are there students who can finish faster, and are there students who may need a lot of time to complete the session? Must we have that variation?
Well, usually students who come to a class don't come with the same level of intelligence, they don't come with the same level of experience, they don't come with the same level of preparedness, they don't come with the same level of exposure. So if you are a teacher and you just engage the class on the assumption that they are of a particular level, then you will be making a grave mistake. And that's why a good teacher, one, is a good listener. A good teacher is very sensitive. A good teacher is the one who tries to make the learners realize their potentials and see beyond, what they currently know about themselves. And that's why a teacher must be sensitive to this diversity in class. And one of the things we also talk about in PEDA is that a teacher must recognize diversity and try to promote inclusion in the process of teaching and learning.
Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us. Great. All right. So we just listened to one of our facilitators, and he facilitates the pedagogical leadership session or module under PEDAL. We are still gathering feedback and then also interviewing our guests, participants, lecturers, and some members as well. Stay tuned. This is AUTV. My name is Kwesi Sam.